Hello, my Phoenix friends. It seems that you may be a little fed up with the Phoenix experience. The Phoenix is related to the root chakra, and your keywords are freedom from suffering and past karma and reincarnation. However, you accomplish this by going through the lessons over and over again. It's really annoying because you think you've got it down. You think, all right, I've been through this, I conquered this. I'm not doing this anymore, or I'm not, whatever it is that you're doing. I don't know why that happened. Whatever lessons it is that you're working on, any karma that you're working on, you think, all right, I've already done it. I've worked through it. I've worked through it more than once. I should be done now, right? And then it comes up again in another form. So it's really aggravating. This has to do with the root chakra and also the third chakra. Sorry. I've been drinking tea to try and keep my voice going, but it's having the opposite effect right now. So what you're trying to do is burn through your baggage. You become a new you. And it's a process. The essence of the Phoenix is with us when we realize we've been suffering for too long and something must change. So you've been building up a lot of baggage stuff, shall we say. And you are so tired of it. Something has to change, so you started this process, but I think you've been going through this for a while based on your tea leaf cards, and you're a little tired of it. But this is setting you up for transformation, which is very worthwhile. And that may be the success that's referred to here. In your tea leaf cards, which are here to help you determine whether or not this is your reading, we have the caterpillar, which says, things will not always be this way. A change is coming. So no matter how exhausted you may be by this process of revisiting past karma, past lessons, your baggage, and you think you burned through it, and then it comes back, and you have to burn through it again. Change is coming. There will be success. Okay. We also have Eagle, triumph over obstacles, over trouble, opportunity or windfall. So something good is coming your way. Perhaps a position of authority, but there's also a reminder here to get back to basics. Now, these two cards are kind of emphasized because when I was shuffling them out, they both had cards underneath them. The throne had crown underneath it, and the quill had feather underneath it. So I see that as an emphasis on these two cards. The crown obviously has to do with authority as well. The feather is a little more concerning. I mean, quills are obviously feathers, so it may just be get back to basics. But the feather in particular is a warning about insincere or untrustworthy people around you. But maybe if you get back to basics, these people won't have any impact on you. And hopefully these cards all seem familiar in some way, so you will know that this is your reading. And let's get to tarot. Okay, never rains but it pours, right? So you see you have the King of Wands come out first in a crossing position, and now you have the King of Swords in an upright position. So are these two different people, or are they different aspects of you? Now we have the Sun. That's concerning. The Sun is generally considered always positive, but you have it in a crossing position, and you have Death also in a crossing position, and the Seven of Pentacles. So I'm not sure whether this King of Swords and this King of Wands are aspects of you or two different people. But it looks like it's part of this greater need for change. This is a card of working on yourself. Death, of course, is about a transition, a big transition, moving from one version of yourself to another. That's not to suggest that either version was false. They're just different. Seven of Pentacles is the process of investing in yourself and doing the work. Sun, of course, is about happiness. In reverse is generally considered a lesser happiness. But sometimes I see it as a false happiness. In Chinese medicine, there's something called joy, but it really refers to more of a mania kind of happiness, a manic kind of happiness. So let's talk about these kings for a minute. We have the King of Wands in this teeter-totter position, not quite here, not quite there. And we have the King of Swords. King of Swords is in the upright, which is good because the King of Swords is a truth seeker. They are intellectual, perhaps a little overly logical sometimes. They're not ruled by their feelings at all, which can be a good thing if we're talking about one person, because the King of Wands, of course, can be passionate and impulsive. Of course, swords can be a little impulsive too, but that's in a different way. But the mental and the passion, tendency towards inspiration and passion, you're almost talking about someone with, well, they used to call it bipolar. I'm not sure what they're calling it these days. But that's almost what it looks like. So someone who can swing a little bit, I think. I really do think this is one person. But someone who can swing from being passionate and excitable and charging ahead, and so they're brave. They're kind of fearless in that regard. Except this King of Wands is being moderated by their King of Swords aspect as well. So the King of Swords can be more thoughtful. They have a tendency to this is more in the Knight of Swords, but a little bit of a tendency to be reactive instead of thinking things through. That would be in the reverse more, but, you know, these cards are a snapshot in time. Hopefully your King of Swords is always in the upright, of course. The other problem with the Swords cards when they're in reverse is that there's a lack of integrity and a lack of honesty. So we don't want that. In any case, the King of Wands can be, you know, a little short-sighted, get carried away. Not as much as the Knight. They're generally in control of their impulses, but they really do want to just take off. There may be some resentment there for their responsibilities, instead of a willingness to just dig in and do what needs to be done, which is what this card is about. And maybe why Death is not in the upright. Okay, so my Phoenix friends, this is where you are at now. And let's see what the universe wants to say to you. So, first of all, we have chandelier, status, luxury, elegance, enlightenment, illumination. So, are we talking about bringing light to a situation, perhaps? We have peace, harmony, effective communication. We also have a round table, collaboration, team project, possibly a support group. But something, you know, we have communication and a place where communication is extremely important. Now, this kind of thing, especially if we're talking about a support group, can definitely bring some things to light. Things that you weren't perhaps willing to see. Like a problem that you didn't want to address. I see the squirrels as ADHD. Definitely focus issues. But also energetic, of course. Possibly secretive, frugal, hoarding, which can be associated with ADHD. And not being terribly good at communication. So we have a problem, a tendency to be distant, an obstacle, stubbornness. And we have illness, fatigue, stress, deterioration, loss, anxiety, waste, and this difficulty focusing. Wow, okay. I didn't actually look at that before I set it down. We have a radical break from the past, getting more information, get going, race car, urgent, do it now, action. Well, that would be an ADHD thing. Acting a bit impulsively, just wanting to go, 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 which could also be the King of Wands in a reversed position. Not having good control over impulses. But we have this radical break from the past, deep changes from this these obstacles here, perhaps. But the need to get more information, very important details. You need to examine the fine print before you go rushing off, even though you may be feeling the urge to go rushing off. It's not always the best choice. In fact, it's frequently not the best choice. There's more than meets the eye going on, and you need to be in control and chart your course. You need wisdom, mastery, skill. Things are coming to the surface for you. Yeah, you're gaining a different perspective on everything. That could explain the big deep break from the past. And it will continue. So we have this transition here again, which lines up with the Death card. Changes, higher self, third eye, far-reaching vision. So I don't think you have completed the transition that the Death card is calling for. It was in a crossing position, a teeter-totter position. You may have been resisting it for a while. Maybe you're still resisting it. But here you're being called to recognize that there's more going on than meets the eye. You need to look deeper in order to address these issues. You need to be careful, methodical. You need wisdom and mastery, skill. That's how you get your freedom and self-determination. The falcon also refers to skill and focus. Given that you got some impulsiveness going on, you got need for communication, and your ADHD kind of influences, whether you have ADHD or not, there's focus issues. And see, this is tendency to hoarding and miscommunication, but very energetic and secretive. Okay, that may be the right thing to do for now, honestly. If you are going through transformation, there's a stage where you are incomplete. It's not the right time to talk to other people about it, especially people from your past who may not be understanding or receptive to the changes that are occurring inside you. So that's kind of like being in the cocoon phase. You need a protected space to process, to develop. And there's nothing wrong with that. But you can't stay there. It's just part of the process. All right, let's see what the mystical shaman Oracle has to say to you. Okay. We have water and rattle. 43 and 61. All right, 43. The rattle, the essence. The rattle is the spirit caller, carrying the shaman's prayer to the four directions. The body of the rattle is like the earth spinning on its axis. With the aid of the rattle, the medicine woman instills a desired destiny in her future, closing with the prayer, Great Spirit, may your will be done. The rattle guides us to pray for all the earth, not just for our personal needs. When we offer our prayers for the highest good of all, everything we need is provided for us. The invitation. The rattle comes to invite you to work with the tools of spirit, but be careful. They are very sharp and can hurt you and others if they're not used mindfully. Set your old tools aside and take up the drawing instruments of spirit. You are consciously stepping into partnership with the divine. This is the time for courageous deeds. Do not let your hesitation get in the way of your expression. The medicine. You want to catch God on the whisper, not on the shout. What you are trying to craft to your own desires and expectations is already there, standing before you. Do not spin the world to your own benefit. You are being offered the Creator's tools, which must be put to use to serve a divine purpose. I think you may be undergoing a bit of a calling here. Let's see what water has to say. Water symbolizes purification, regeneration, birth, revival, and cleansing. It signifies an evolutionary shift from former self to new self. Well, that's pretty consistent. Yeah, I mean, you've got the death cards, you're the phoenix, There's definitely a shift here going on within you from former self to new self. All right. Many myths around the world speak of a great flood and the new life that is revealed after a deluge. Water begins without boundaries. Then, as soon as form has separated itself from water, it comes under the laws of time and life, thus acquiring limitations. When water arrives, you're invited to watch your emotions. Know they are going to be changeable, and do not settle on a conclusion at this time. If you feel joy, feel that fully. If you feel sad, allow sadness to move through you. Water invites you to see the ebb and flow of events, and trust you can ride the wave of opportunity when it arises. Natural flow is here. Go with it. The medicine. This is a time for cleansing unwanted energy and sticky feelings. Consider this. What water does to the flesh, it does in sacred ritual to the spirit. The spiritual cleansing, like baptism, is the opportunity to get an instantaneous experience of the timeless, non-ordinary reality in which all true creation takes place. Now is also a time that is pregnant with potential for you. Carl Jung talked about the maternal, womb-like significance of water as a universal symbol. Water represents the potentiality of all existence. It precedes and sustains every creation. Emergence from it is manifestation. Immersion in it is dissolution of form. Because of this, it symbolizes regeneration. Make way for the process. You can expect it to be messy, but worth it. I think that's exactly what you're going through. A regenerative process. I imagine it is quite difficult sometimes. But it is worth the effort, worth the process, worth the work, the time, the energy. I'm not saying it's easy. It is not easy. It can be quite painful at times. At other times, it's really kind of ecstatic. But you get the bliss, and you also get the, perhaps some heartbreak. It's all part of the process. The goal is to become fully yourself. And that means integrating all parts of you, not just the parts that you show to the world, not just the parts that you like, not just the parts that other people like. So I am wishing you all the best. Don't try to rush it. That's, on the one hand, you don't want to rush it. On the other hand, you don't want to drag your feet, because that's when things really get painful. So a balanced approach, as always. I am wishing you all the best. You can do this.